Hello, everyone, and welcome into another episode of the Fastball Sports podcast. It's a podcast, right?
Network podcast show, whatever you want to call it.
Podcast, whatever. Anyway, today we're going to be talking WWE Draft. But before we do, we haven't been on in a minute or two, so we have to recap something, and that is something that up until every show, every pay-per-view preview that we did, I was sitting here telling you, Mark, this is going to be the pay-per-view that Roman Reigns comes back. Then Roman Reigns finally comes back, and we haven't done a show since. So, three things we have to talk about, and then we're going to get into the draft. The first one, the most important one, Roman Reigns back. I just tell me how you're on a scale of 1 to 10. How well done was Roman Reigns' his return since he's been back? The whole 9 since he's been back.
It's a 10, like no question, a 10. That's tough to say, especially in wrestling where everything is so like picked at and like overdone and everything. Like from just running out there and spearing the Fiend, like in the very beginning, like the shock value of that. To I remember when that happened, everyone was like, Roman just turned heel, and like I think we're like, no, he didn't. Like he's a tweener. He's always been a little edgy, but no, he didn't. And then turned out, yes, he did. And just like everything they've done with him, especially now with the tribal chief stuff, and now he's like looking down upon like Uso and talking about like the family and like adding Paul Heyman to the mix. It's all just so good.
I think they've done just an absolutely phenomenal job. Just to piggyback off of what you said, the cerebralness inside of him is something we haven't seen in wrestling, I think, in a long time. I think that's one of the big things that I'm liking about this. It's so they're not only showing him as like this strong, like powerful person, but they're also showing him as like a cerebral, like he thought about all of this stuff before he wrestles these matches. So when they say tribal chief, they don't just mean the strongest, the biggest dog in the yard, basically. They mean like the strongest, the smartest, and the person that's going to strategize more than anybody. Like they are making Roman Reigns a complete person. And I think in wrestling, it's probably easier to play the heel than it is the baby face.
Definitely.
Right? I think but one thing about Roman Reigns, I don't want to hear that he can't cut a promo anymore, because some of the promos he has cut have been the best work. I think this is the best work of his career this last month and a half. And that's not to diminish the other stuff, but this right now, what he's doing, I don't think any one of us believed that he could have been turned heel like the way he did.
He's gotten so much better too, with like his expression and like you said, the promo, like you believe him, everything he's saying, like you believe he's thinking this, he's feeling this. Where like I feel like old Roman, he would go out there and say, it's my yard, I'm the guy, and he'd be like, shut up, like we don't believe you, we don't care. But now it's like, no, this guy's serious. Like,
yeah. And I do think that when they eventually do turn him face, because listen, he's a great heel, obviously. I mean, like, this is great, like what he's done. And this has been one program. We'll see when it's not somebody in the family, because they can really touch on pull those heartstrings on the audience. We'll see what happens when it's someone outside of the family.
Yeah.
But I mean, right now, I mean, this is just, he's the top guy in WWE. I don't think there's a question anymore, right? Like, if there was ever a question, what he's done over the last month and a half has just proven. And I think we've been saying this back and forth to each other. I think he's going to hold this belt for a really, really long time.
Yeah, for sure. And like the other thing, just like his star power and his stature, we were saying it because SmackDown went up like way in the ratings like the 2 weeks after he came back. And we're like, yeah, Roman Reigns is a really big deal. Like they were missing him greatly, and now he's back.
Yeah. And I just want to also shout out Jey Uso, because he has been phenomenal too in all of this. Obviously, Roman has helped, but we always knew Jimmy and Jay could wrestle like excellent. They were always wrestling excellent workers, but he's kicked it up another notch in himself in these promos and stuff like that. He's gotten the chance to shine, and honestly, Roman says it on the mic in like a kayfabe way that he's giving him that paycheck, that main event paycheck. But Jay is earning his main event paycheck, the real one, not the fake one that Roman's talking about.
Yeah, for sure.
It's kind of the same thing.
I agree.
But from the big dog, we'll move on to another heel, or multiple heels, and that's Retribution. And I just want to know, I feel like this has been one of the more up and down storylines. I want to know how you think they're handling this.
How I think they're handling this. I think,
is it good? Is it? I don't think it's bad. That's why I'm saying
it can be saved. That's my opinion on it. Like I'm not high on it. They don't excite me. I think it was handled really silly in the beginning, and they kind of made it serious toward the middle. And now Mustafa Ali is an interesting little wrinkle. We'll see where that eventually leads. I think it could be good, but I'm not really hopeful.
Okay, I think I'm agreeing with you there, and I'm not really hopeful that they'll turn it around. I do kind of like what I've seen, though. I think Mustafa Ali was a good choice. Maybe not the perfect choice. I think you always think when they put together these heel stables that the villain is going to look like a Triple H or a Randy Orton or a Roman Reigns.
Yeah.
Not necessarily the build of Mustafa Ali, but listen, Ali has put together a bunch of good matches since coming to Raw, and we'll see. He was the SmackDown hacker that was never actually revealed. So they had plans to use him at some point in time, and now they're using him as he's in charge of T-Bar and
Slapjack.
Slapjack. Okay.
This is also tough for me because like it'd be some real hypocrisy right now if I was like, I'm not interested at all in Mustafa Ali, because all I do is stress that they should try out new things and give new stars like chances where like you're 100% right. Like this should be like a Kevin Owens or a CM Punk or like, but they're trying something different. And if it works out, Mustafa Ali could be a star.
Mm-hmm. And I'm like I said, I'm gonna let him run with it. I will reserve any judgment until this plays out for a few months.
We got to see how.
But yeah, good for Mustafa Ali. The last question, and we're gonna get into the draft. So I guess this is my first question about the draft. NXT noticeably absent from the draft. Was that a good thing, a bad thing? Do you really care that much?
I mean, we didn't expect them to like have their own show in the draft, like how they'd be like, all right, now this Raw guy's going to NXT. We weren't expecting that, but I think we were expecting a few guys to go from NXT to Raw or SmackDown, and that didn't happen. But I don't know. I mean, like it feels like forever we're waiting for Adam Cole and for Johnny Gargano and some of these guys that have been down there, and I guess it's not the time.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't know what they're waiting for with Adam Cole. I mean, he's done pretty much everything he could do in NXT. I like that they kept him down there to kind of give Finn Balor that rub again, but I'm just waiting for Adam Cole to come up and just take the whole entire WWE by storm, because if he gets put on SmackDown, he's going to be a mid-card champion for a really long time until they decide they want to take the belt off of Roman Reigns. And if he gets put on Raw, he's going to be the WWE champion by WrestleMania. Like literally, I believe that they would have him.
But
in the main event.
They're in love with Drew too. Like they wouldn't just throw Drew to the side.
And actually, that's a great segue. I'm gonna go into Raw. I'm gonna talk about who got drafted to Raw, all the people that got drafted to Raw, and then we're gonna start with our WWE champion, Drew McIntyre. How's that sound?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
All right. So for the men on Raw, we have Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley, R-Truth, AJ Styles, The Fiend, Bray Wyatt, Randy Orton, Braun Strowman, Matt Riddle, Jeff Hardy, Keith Lee, Ricochet, Elias, Sheamus, Angel Garza, Humberto Carrillo, Drew Gulak, Tucker, not Otis, Tucker, Daba Katayo. Am I saying that right? I'm definitely
He's
not.
the Raw Underground guy, yeah.
Yeah. Titus O'Neil, Akira Tozawa, Riddick Moss, Arturo Ruas, and Eric. Not Ivar. Eric. Just so we're clear on who I'm talking about.
It's so strange when they do that. When
well, we're gonna get into Ivar a little bit later. Actually, he's actually a segment on the show, so get excited about that.
You have an Ivar segment prepared?
I do. We do. We have like a little like Ivar like talking point here.
Okay.
So for the women, it's Asuka, Charlotte Flair, Naomi, Alexa Bliss, Lacey Evans, Nikki Cross, Peyton Royce, and Lana. The tag teams are The New Day, The Hurt Business, The Miz and John Morrison, Retribution, and the Lucha House Party. With the women's tag team being Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax, and I guess they have them grouped as a tag team right now, Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. So that is the complete Raw roster as it stands after the draft.
They were drafted as a tag team, Mandy and Dana?
No, Mandy was drafted separately from Dana, but in this thing they have them currently as a tag team. It looks like they're running with the tag team angle. Listen, you know my opinion on Mandy. I've always thought she was destined for a lot more, but it seems like they want to keep her working in these smaller matches until they build it up. I do believe one day that they're gonna like push her to the moon, but I guess they're just trying to like work her in these like small feuds right now to try and like build her up, because she is still relatively new to the business. She'd only been there for a few.
it felt like she like was her hottest with the Sonya Deville stuff, and then she kind of
Yeah, that was really good when they put her with Otis. And
didn't
now
really
they're
go anywhere.
putting her with Dana Brooke. So yeah, not great. All right, but with that, we'll go into Drew McIntyre, the WWE champion, and I want to know. This is my question for you: are Drew McIntyre's days as WWE Championship champion coming to an end?
You mean by Randy or in general?
Just listen, if it's not Randy, this is the thing about this time of the year, and I know, like, if you're a real wrestling fan, this is your favorite time of year, right? It starts now. You got Hell in a Cell. Maybe that's not your favorite pay-per-view, whatever. After that, you got Thanksgiving weekend tradition, Survivor Series, whatever December pay-per-view they decide to throw at us. Then January, we have the best pay-per-view of the year, the Royal Rumble. And then it's the road to WrestleMania from there. So, I mean, a lot happens in the next 2 or 3 months. They got to decide, is Drew McIntyre holding this belt into WrestleMania, or do they have a different thing in plan for like, this is the time, you know what I mean? From now to the Rumble, because you don't want to change. I always was under the assumption that you don't want to change the champion between Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, unless it's like John Cena to Bray Wyatt, where Randy Orton was fighting Bray Wyatt, and there's like a real purpose there. You don't want to do that. Like, I think we both hated when Goldberg and Brock fought for the WWE champion after Brock killed Kevin Owens. There was just no point in that. Didn't have to be done. Jericho and Owens could have easily feuded over the WWE championship, but they decided to put the belt on Brock, which they could have done the next night on Raw.
It's frustrating.
I didn't love that. I don't love things like that. I like when the winner of WrestleMania goes to face the champ in the main event at WrestleMania. I'm sorry, the winner of the Royal Rumble goes to face the champ at WrestleMania. And then on the next pay-per-view after the Royal Rumble, the other brand decides who they're facing, who has already been champ. Because, listen, at this point, we know Roman Reigns is making it to WrestleMania as champ, right? I don't think there's a question. Something would have to go wrong. Like another wellness policy violation would have to go wrong for Roman Reigns to not make it to WrestleMania as champ. So the question is Drew McIntyre going to go all the way? And I think one of the reasons why I'm kind of low on this point is because they look the same.
Roman and Drew
look the same. They're like the same person. They have the same person holding the belt. Drew is like a little bit bigger, and he wears classic wrestling tights instead of pants. That's about it. Like, that's about it.
All right. I think Randy's gonna win. I think I thought Randy was gonna win initially when this feud started, like at the very first, and then this is their third match, right?
This is 3. The other one, Orton played the baby face, getting absolutely his face.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember. I'm pretty sure I thought Randy was gonna win the first one.
So Drew rolled him up in the first one. So we were like, oh, like that's not conclusive at all. Obviously, they're gonna have another one. And now Drew had the help of 4 or 3 and Ric Flair driving the ambulance, Hall of Famers, in the second match. So I'm kind of with you, where I kind of thought they were gonna hand it to Randy, but they haven't really given a true win to Drew McIntyre over Randy Orton. So Hell in a Cell will be the close of this rivalry. No one's getting in. It's either gonna be Drew gets the 1, 2, 3 in like a real fashion with a Claymore, or like I don't even know what. Or Randy's going to hit him with the RKO and become a 14-time world champion, which, by the way, I don't think either outcome I'd be angry at this point.
No, I wouldn't be angry either way. I think at this point, it doesn't make a ton of sense, though, to give it to Randy. In this exact moment, I feel like you might as well just stick with Drew at least a little longer. I mean, in terms of threats, I would say The Fiend is probably his biggest threat now, with him going over to Raw. But I don't see that happening soon because he's in the program with Alexa and they seem to just be doing like their own weird stuff. I don't think he's going to be going for the title anytime soon.
Yes. I think The Fiend could be a threat. And I think the other guy that you have to pay attention to on that roster is newly acquired AJ Styles. Who is...
he hasn't been involved with the real title in a long time.
Which I think they've kept him away from on purpose because the years that he's been here, he's held more championships than I think anybody else, right?
Or I think he's been 2 titles and 2 US titles maybe, or something.
He's been champion. Like, he's had a championship belt around his waist longer than anybody, or like more days than anybody since he's been in the business, which is really impressive for AJ Styles. But I mean, kind of exactly what you expect from AJ Styles.
Way it should be, yeah.
because he plays the role so well. He just goes from mid card to main event, and you believe it, you know.
Oh
So
yeah, easily.
but yeah, I guess the question is who for Drew, right? If it's not Randy, then who? And you said the Fiend, I said AJ Styles. I think those are two good choices. Is there any unknowns you think maybe maybe
I'm
somebody
not
little?
I'm not buying Keith Lee at all for the to beat McIntyre. Like I don't see any
Mhm.
scenario that I know like you probably are. It's probably one of the guys that you were like thinking
I don't
about.
think it's McIntyre. I don't. If Keith Lee, I think Keith Lee is in a good spot right now, where like they're not hurting him at all, but he's not at the championship because listen, I think there's something to be said about a build to the title. You know what I mean? Like he's been on the roster a month, right? He's been up a month and a half. We don't have to give him the title yet. Let him play in the mid card and the upper mid card. Let him be important in a Survivor Series role. Maybe that'll be where his rub comes from. Maybe he'll be the sole survivor for Raw in Survivor Series. You know, he was the last person eliminated last year to. Do you remember who?
Roman.
Roman Reigns. He got the big pin over Seth Rollins, which at the time was huge. I mean, anytime you pin Seth Rollins as like an NXT guy or like a rookie, that's huge.
That was a big deal. Yeah.
So I think Keith Lee's in a good spot right now, and they can keep building him and building him and building him. We don't have to do face versus face, you know? Wait till he heals the champion, and then we could stick Keith Lee on him. But until then, I agree with you. I don't think Keith Lee is taking the belt off of Drew McIntyre. Listen, if that's the feud they decided to go with, maybe. But also, I'd be fine with McIntyre winning that and like a close one. But he's supposed to be limitless. That would be a limit for the limitless Keith Lee. So, you know, that's how I feel about Keith Lee. But yeah.
That would work though. Survivor Series. We just gotta build them up first. Like right now, like, I'm just not buying it.
I agree. I agree that there should be some build. I think that Finn Balor came in on night one and won the Universal Champion, or like his first like real. Well, no, his first match on Raw was like a triple threat match, and then he brought the Demon Finn
Yeah.
to the match against Seth, and he won the first night. And then since then, he's never been able to capture that lightning in the bottle since. So I think there's something to be said about a build for sure. The next person I have on the list, Bobby Lashley and the Hurt Business. And I know we were both high on Bobby Lashley and the Hurt Business, or I should say MVP in the Hurt Business, because Lashley's been great, but I think MVP has been the best part of this stable. What do you see for them going forward? It looks like they're really starting to build up. Also, they were drafted really high. I mean, like, I don't look at draft position so much, but they were in that first round. It was like the two and the Hurt Business. So
like the biggest thing is it shows how WWE views them, like in terms of like the draft pick, like having them go. It was either the first round or the second round. It was like they matter, like they're really important to Vince and to WWE. So I mean, yeah, to get first, I wasn't crazy about them, but obviously as time went on, like MVP was cutting great promos. They built Lashley back up as like being credible and being a monster again after he lost to Drew. That was good. I'm not really sure I see where it's going. They got to get away from Apollo and Ricochet. They got to just stop doing that every single week. It seems like they'll probably be intertwined with Retribution for at least the time being, but Retribution can't really lose that feud, so I don't really know what they. It's tough. It's been good, but I don't really know where they go from here.
That is one of the things that I was concerned about too. So Retribution now is going to go against the Hurt Business. The Hurt Business can't really afford to lose, but Retribution definitely can't afford to lose. So they're kind of in a tough spot there with the two new feuds and everything. But we'll see. Maybe Retribution was just Ali's way of getting even with the Hurt Business, and then they don't have the blow off yet. Maybe that'll come later. Maybe that'll keep building and building.
They didn't put the Hurt Business on SmackDown. I'm kind of surprised they didn't break them up.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't break them up. Oh, you're talking about Retribution in the Hurt Business.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, oh yeah. I thought the Hurt Business was going to move to SmackDown too. I thought they would have done really well on SmackDown, but yeah. Okay, so we're moving on. We talked about AJ Styles. So the next person, Jeff Hardy. What is the plan for Jeff Hardy going forward? Is there a plan for Jeff Hardy going forward?
I'd imagine there's not, right? Like he was the Intercontinental Champion for like a minute. He dropped that to Sammy. Now he's on Raw. He like stepped up to Seth Rollins, but no one believes age 45 Jeff Hardy is going to fill Seth Rollins' shoes right now. That's just not a believable task for him. Who's the mid-card champion on Raw?
Bobby Lashley.
No, he's not beating Bobby Lashley. Tag team? Wait, he's gonna squat up with someone and go for the title.
Well, I mean, Matt and Jeff are back together. Matt Riddle is on Raw as well. We'll talk about him.
Them becoming a tag team? Is that in the realm of possibility?
Listen, I think here's so this is my kind of crazy thought for Jeff Hardy. I think it's clear Vince really likes Jeff Hardy, like has like a certain amount of respect for him, and he realizes what Jeff has done, like in terms of like you talk about wrestlers putting their bodies on the line, and they all do it, and they all deserve that, but Jeff a little bit more. I mean, we remember as kids Jeff killing himself for our entertainment. Literally, the drug addiction, all that stuff comes from Jeff jumping 30 feet in the air onto a person and his back just being messed up for his entire life. Like, he's not going to be able to walk at the age of 60, and he's done it all for us. So I think everyone has that appreciation for Jeff Hardy. There is part of me that believes that they're gearing Jeff Hardy up for one last championship run, like real championship run. That's been the mantra, I feel like, since he came back, and I really believe that he can hold the mantle for a few months as champion. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility. Now, if it were me and I had to book it perfectly, it would be the Royal Rumble. There's no question. He'd be a great underdog. I don't think anyone would expect it. Just give him the rub at the Royal Rumble, have him face Randy Orton at WrestleMania, and I think that's a great match. It plays on a match that they already had and Randy won. They could do all that stuff. I guess Randy's becoming that guy now where it's like first it was with Kofi and now it's with Jeff where it's like, oh, like he put me down earlier in my career and like I got to come back at him now that we're both 40. Like, I don't know.
I see it. Like I definitely could see him getting another like real title run, but I wouldn't say it's likely. Like it's not something I'm expecting, but I see where you're coming from on that. It's just I think he's just going to be like so many other of those random guys on Raw. He's going to like tread water. He'll get involved with the Hurt Business and they'll beat him down, and he'll probably have like a one-off match with Lashley and lose. Like, I don't think
it helps.
What?
I'm sorry. Go ahead, continue.
I say I hope they have some plans for him, but like the mid-card people on Raw just disappear. Like they don't matter.
It doesn't help my point that he's going to be killed by Lars Sullivan on SmackDown on Friday. Does not help.
That might be a write him off TV for a couple of months, honestly.
That could be it too. All right, so I said we were going to talk about Matt Riddle, and let's do it. Matt Riddle, Seth Rollins, beef. Matt Riddle was moved to Raw after Seth Rollins said you might as well move him to Raw because I know it's just been working with him. Is this anything or is this nothing?
I mean, like, it was kind of funny because, like, when Seth said it, like, publicly, he was like, this is probably a shoot. Like, it's probably not real. But then, like, but that night he got moved over. And it was like, all right, it was probably real. And Seth Rollins definitely has a lot of pull backstage. And
yeah.
What do you say? His wife said something about, like, Becky's butt or something? Like,
it stemmed from an Instagram post. And I think his wife was implying that, like, she posted a picture of Becky. If I saw the right thing, I believe she posted a picture of Becky Lynch. And she basically said that the female wrestlers need to start doing squats. Again, these are her words, not mine. I just want to make that very clear. These are Matt Riddle's wife's words, not mine. She said,
what a weird time to come after Becky Lynch right now.
It was not right now. It was a few months ago, maybe a year ago. I don't know. But listen, if that's the case, I think Seth has every right to be angry.
Yeah, I mean,
but I mean, it's kind of nothing at the same time. You know what I mean? It's like a dumb Instagram post. It's like, you know what? You're probably like 35 years old. Why are you using Instagram like
also,
this?
like, how dumb can you be when your husband's in the industry and you're going after like the biggest
biggest star,
female superstar probably ever?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah, I don't know what the thought process was there, but it wasn't a good one. And listen. Matt Riddle's career seems to be impenetrable. Nobody can stop that. And
I mean, he's done
a lot
nothing.
Going on.
He just feuded with Corbin. Like, he's done absolutely nothing. I think they're probably afraid to like give him a real something with like all of these allegations and things that keep like resurfacing. They're probably afraid to like do something with him.
He's probably shot himself in the foot a bunch. And this is not helping, but I don't think it's going to hurt him too much. I don't think this is going to be the thing that ends him.
Probably not.
Another person we have resurfacing is Elias. Are you excited at all? I saw Elias and
he's starting a program with Jeff. That's what's happening.
nothing. I saw Elias and absolutely nothing. Did Elias watch SmackDown after he got hit by a car? Because he would have very easily seen that it was Sheamus that hit him with the car. Like, this story actually makes no sense to me.
Jeff did it.
No, but like literally, if he watched SmackDown that night, like
he
that
was in the
night,
hospital. He didn't watch SmackDown. He was in the hospital.
That night they decided Jeff Hardy didn't do it. Like that it was. So I'm actually really curious to see if Elias is going to come out and cut this promo and be like, Jeff, you hit me with your car, and then Jeff's going to come out and like be like, no, like Sheamus hit you with the car. Like, I don't know why the police didn't arrest him, but he's the one who hit you with the car. Like, I'm very curious to see what's going to happen with this, but I'm on the train of it's probably going to be a little dumb from Elias' standpoint.
It'll probably be funny though. Like, it'll at least be I'll be entertained by whatever happens here, probably.
And maybe they'll flash back to the clip that happened a few months ago. We'll hear Jeff Elias. All right. Next, I want to head over to the women's division on Raw, and it starts with Charlotte Flair not being there. It starts and stops with one woman, and that's Asuka. Is there any challenge on this roster for Asuka right now? Like, can you name one person where you're like, oh yeah, she could take the belt from Asuka?
It's whenever they break up Shayna Baszler and Nia. Shayna's the one with a shot.
Right, and I think that brings me to my next question: is anyone going to beat Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax?
No.
Exactly. So on Raw right now, we have Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax holding the tag team champions, and they'll be back and forth on Raw and SmackDown until they lose those titles. And then we have Asuka, who just seems bulletproof. Like, the only reason she lost that title to Sasha Banks, I'm convinced, was to get her title count up. Like, you know, like how they do that. Like, they talk about how like he's a 4-time, 5-time winning champion. It was really convenient for the feud for Sasha Banks and Bayley, which we'll talk about when we get over to SmackDown. And it got Asuka's title count up, and I don't think she's gonna lose it anytime soon.
Maybe Naomi, like with the Hurt Business, beats Asuka.
If Naomi joins the Hurt Business, that would be awesome. I think that would be a great, great, great thing for her.
She needs something.
What'd you say?
She needs something.
I agree, and I think she needs to drop the whole Feel the Glow thing. I ever since she like put that on, I don't think has she won anything? She won the title in Orlando. Was that during the Glow thing?
Yeah, she was Feel the Glow during that.
All right, so maybe it was working for a little while, but anyway, I am totally in on that 100%.
And she was also drafted like kind of high, so you got to assume they have some type of plan or thing for her. I was surprised when they drafted her. I was like, oh, Naomi's still employed. Good.
Kick it, yeah. And then finally, we'll go to the Raw tag team scene, and that is, again, the New Day, the Hurt Business, the Miz and Morrison, Retribution, and Lucha House Party. I just want to say how little I like the Lucha House Party. I don't really, you know me, like I tend to like a lot and just kind of like enjoy like what's going on. The Lucha House Party, they are in the middle of the stupidest feud in the world. I don't even know if you know what's going on with Lucha House Party. What? Kalisto, a member of the Lucha House Party.
I didn't know that. No.
It like hurts my brain. So Kalisto apparently somehow got a big head. I don't know how he got a big head because he beat Ryback in a U.S. Championship match in like 2014. So now Kalisto's got this big head.
The dumpster match.
And the other two are like mad at him, and they like teamed up with someone on SmackDown. I forget who. Oh, it was Matt Riddle. They teamed up with Matt Riddle on SmackDown. The two other ones, I don't even. It's Lindsay Dorado and do you even know the other one's name?
Grand Metalik.
Grand Metalik, yes, of course. How could I be so silly? So those two teamed up with Matt Riddle, and Kalisto came out like, "What's going on?" And like, he was like shirtless, but like he had like those white like khaki pants on. They're not really khakis. They're like it's like when you're on a vacation in Cuba, and the guy's got like the nice collared shirt with the flower patterns and the white pants.
Sure, continue.
Yeah. Anyway, so he came out looking like you know what, and he's like, oh, like, why are you teaming with him? Whatever. And then he like started trying to help, but him helping had him kick Lindsay Dorado in the face. I don't know if it's Lindsay. I don't know. It's probably not Lindsay.
It's Lindsay.
I think it's Lindsay. Yeah. And he kicked him in the face, but they still won the match because Matt Riddle's a bro. And it's just so dumb. And honestly, like, none of them are entertaining to me. Like, I think the problem with like cruiserweights now is we have heavyweights that are doing what cruiserweights are doing. So when you see a guy that's 250 pounds doing that, and you see a guy that's like 20 pounds doing that, you're kind of just like, yeah, whatever. Like, and even like AJ Styles is like, he's like approaching cruiserweight. He's like a little bit heavier, but he's like approaching cruiserweight. It's just like holds more weight when AJ Styles doing it. I don't know. The Lucha House Party just does nothing for me.
Honestly, I didn't know they were even like involved in a storyline, so I don't think we need to really talk about them much.
All right, and so we won't. But I guess my real question is how do you like the Raw Tag Team division? It's clearly gotten shaken up. They brought the New Day and the Miz and Morrison over. They're keeping the Hurt Business, which I assume will be Cedric and one of the other two in a tag team if they do decide to put them in a tag team for these belts. And Retribution, Slap and Mace Jack and all the guys and the girl. The one
I mean, they have a lot of guys, they have a lot of people for sure. They just gave New Day the belts and then sent them right over to Raw. So, I mean, I'd say you have to imagine they won't lose it for a little bit, but like they could lose it next Raw. I wouldn't be like stunned, you know. So it's kind of just we'll see where it goes. Unfortunately, like the tag team division doesn't really matter. They never really seem to do anything with them, but maybe it's different now. We'll have to wait and see.
The Miz and Morrison and the New Day being on the same show again feels like a flop to me. Like that doesn't feel like something that should happen.
They did that with a lot of these people where they brought over like entire feuds where it's just like, why are we doing this? It's gotta.
We'll guess at the why are we doing this?
Like I know the one you're talking about that like frustrates me to no end, but there's a lot of instances where it's like you brought over 2 or 3 people that should be very done with each other. Now they're just not going.
Right. I noticed that too when it looks like a lot of the SmackDown roster just came over to Raw here. When you think about Jeff Hardy and AJ Styles and Sheamus, those 3 were all entangled in feuds at one point in time. Now you're mixing them up with Angel Garza, Humberto Carrillo, and Bobby Lashley. I guess that's the hope they'll get away from each other. But Braun Strowman was on SmackDown with The Fiend. Now they're both on Raw. So it is kind of strange there. I get what you're saying. But with that being said, we'll close the door on Raw for at least this week, and we'll head over to SmackDown. Friday night is the season premiere of SmackDown. Are you excited?
You know, they have like 5 Raw superstars competing in like these promoted matches, so not really.
But one match I am excited about, it does feature a Raw superstar and a SmackDown superstar, and that is Roman Reigns versus Bray Wyatt.
Why are you excited?
Braun Strowman. I just want to see what they do with Roman. Hasn't wrestled on SmackDown except for when he got like a tag. Like Jey Uso did all the work, and then he tagged in and he won the match. And Jay sat there and celebrated like he didn't do all the work and like it was like an equal partnership. But I want to see what they do with Roman on a Friday to Friday basis because, well, it's been great. Usually he does wrestle on Monday and Friday, Monday or Friday, whatever shows he's on. So I want to see what a wrestling match looks like, and especially against Braun Strowman, who is supposed to be a legitimate contender. I've never seen I told you this the other day. I've never seen a 350-pound man get squashed on WWE television, but I think we might be seeing it this week. So I guess we'll see. But the SmackDown roster is as followed. We've got Roman Reigns, the Universal Champion, Sami Zayn, the Intercontinental Champion, Seth freaking Rollins, or the Friday Night Messiah, Seth Rollins, Daniel Bryan, Kevin Owens, Jey Uso, Big E, Aleister Black, Apollo Crews, Otis, Murphy, Kalisto, Lars Sullivan, King Corbin, and Shorty G. Those are the singles. The tag teams are the Street Profits, Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura, Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode, Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio. Then for the women, we have Bayley and Sasha Banks. We have Bianca Belair, Carmella, Natalya, Billie Kay, Tamina, Zelina Vega. And for tag teams, they have the Riot Squad. So I guess my first question for you is, we've already talked about Roman Reigns extensively, so we don't have to talk about Roman Reigns anymore. Let's talk about Sami Zayn, the other single male champion on the... What do you see for Sami Zayn? Is this a long reign? I don't think he's transitional. I think they wanted to put the belt on him, right? Like they had to want to put the belt on him.
Another guy where like I can see him holding it for 6 months or dropping it on Friday. Like, it just doesn't. I don't think they have enough stock or investment in him that it matters one way or the other in terms of when he drops that belt. So who do we foresee being his big competition now? Like a Kevin Owens?
Kevin Owens, right? I mean, like, they've kept them away from each other now, where they haven't been. I mean, they did that whole thing where they were like best friends and like buddies and stuff like that, but they haven't fought each other in a really long time, and those matches were really, really, really good, right? So I'd definitely be excited to see Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn in a feud. It would be new or different than what we've been getting.
Fresh.
And I think Sami playing the heel and Kevin playing the babyface is something that we have not seen yet either. So it would be an interesting take on that.
I mean, like, we could do like Ray or Dominic versus Sami.
Ray and Dominic are both a tag team now. I don't understand what they're doing with Ray and Dominic. Ray apparently doesn't have a WWE contract, and he's just wrestling freelance right now.
He hasn't wrestled in a while.
Oh, that's true. I think he's hurt.
So he's just kind of out there with his kid and like doing the Seth and Aaliyah and stuff. And Buddy.
Do you think Aaliyah moved to SmackDown with Ray and Dominic?
I would assume so. I doubt she would stay on Raw, especially with Buddy going over to SmackDown too. Like the entire 5 of them.
Imagine she just showed up, like, "Hey, I'm here on Raw," and see what happens, right?
What a mess having the 5 of them all go over.
You know, you're like reading my mind today, because the next person I had on my list here was Seth freaking Rollins. And go ahead. I'm not even gonna set the stage. I just want you to go. Go ahead. Go off. I'm gonna sit back and relax here. You go ahead. Say what you want to say.
All right. So we'll start. I was beyond excited when Seth went to SmackDown. Like, I was like, that is amazing. Seth needs a new feud. He needs a new circumstance. He needs new people to wrestle. Like, this could be perfect. Seth's probably the second or first best guy they have on the entire show and to the entire company. So I was like, all right, this is awesome. This is amazing. And I'm like, all right, we're thinking, like, initially it's like Roman Reigns. Like, he's going to do something with Roman, like whether he's going to fight him or like a backstage segment with him. Like, it's going to be amazing. It writes itself. Like, it's all going to be like perfect. And then obviously they send over Ray and Dominic too. And at that point, I'm just like, it's impossible. Like, it's literally impossible. Where, how in the world is there more to tell here in terms of Seth's already taken his eye. He's beaten Dominic like 3 times. There's been so many of these blowover matches. So like, they had different guys in the mix of like a random Kevin Owens, Aleister Black. I'm trying to think of it, like Humberto Carrillo, like some combination all like joining to this feud at some point. They've all left. Like, it's just, how is there more story here? And then the kicker, they just threw Murphy in there too, because of course they have to send Murphy over too. It's just, we don't know yet. Like, but then I think Seth cut a promo and said, like, Ray said, like, Seth thought he was getting rid of us. And I was just like, this is impossible. Like, it's not possible to keep doing this.
So, for those of you watching, I witnessed Mark's soul leave his body when Ray and Dominic were indeed drafted over to SmackDown. We were watching together, and I just saw Mark's soul just leave his body, because he was very excited. And then, yeah. Listen, Seth Rollins could be a go for Sami Zayn eventually. I could definitely see them doing that. Seth has held the Intercontinental Champion before. But right now, in the immediate, it looks like we have at least until Survivor Series, or at least until Hell in a Cell, I should say, to clean up this feud. I agree with you, though, 100%. This has been played out too long.
How?
Getting to the point where every time I see Seth Rollins, every time I see Rey Mysterio and Dominic Mysterio, I turn it off. I don't care anymore.
Ray was like one of my favorites of all time, and like, I'm so soured on him. It's not even funny from all this.
I won't let it affect Rey Mysterio's legacy in my eyes, but I tell you what, I don't care at all about Dominic Mysterio. I don't look at Dominic Mysterio and be like, oh, I really want him to be in champ. Like, I think SmackDown's got other guys that we will talk about in a second that I would much rather see in a mid card or a big championship role than Dominic Mysterio right now. I don't think he's done anything special. He's pretty okay in the ring, nothing crazy. Like, I don't want to be that guy, but right now, the only reason why Dominic Mysterio is in the WWE is because of Pops, right? Like that's the only.
I mean, he has looked good in the ring.
He's looked okay. Like I haven't seen anything special. He hits the 619, so that's kind of cool. Well, 619. But other than that, there's just been nothing special from me there. Murphy, poor Murphy. I feel like Murphy's getting dragged through the mud through all of this because like none of this is about him, but yet all of it is about him. And like, I don't know.
How do they not take this as like the painfully obvious reset that it is in terms of it's the draft. Like the whole excitement is it's new people feuding with each other and like new situations and like new matches and just nothing needed a reset more than this feud. Like nothing needed all right, enough than this. And just I don't know.
I agree, and I think we should just handle it by moving on the way the WWE should. What do you think about that?
Sure.
Let's go to Big E. Big E split up from his New Day brethren, Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, who are currently the Raw Tag Team Champions, as we discussed earlier. Now Big E's kind of set to fend for his own. Another guy I could see going after Sami Zayn. I think actually the logical next step for Sami Zayn. But what do you see for Big E now that he's not up? I mean, he's still a part of the New Day. I think they're still going to be the New Day. You know what I mean? He's still going to come into the music and be the New Day. But like, what do you see for him as a singles run on SmackDown?
It felt like they were prepared to push him as a solo guy for a decent amount of time now. I don't see a world title in his future. Maybe one day, but not anywhere near now. He's definitely more of like a mid card guy to me. But yeah, no, I think that makes a lot of sense with Sami Zayn.
Yeah. Is there anybody else you see arising on the SmackDown roster that like could move into a spot we're not supposed to, or they're not supposed to? Obviously, Daniel Bryan was drafted. I'm assuming that he's due back somewhat soon, and that's going to be a big pick me up for this roster too. And I honestly think that him and Roman Reigns, if they don't get a legend for Roman Reigns, if they don't get a Rock or a Goldberg of some type, I think Daniel Bryan could be the WrestleMania match. That yes movement going against this family storyline. DB's always been a great underdog, and he's going to have to play the underdog. I think DB would be such a great challenge for Roman Reigns, and I'm really hoping that they do it. They did it once. They put on a great match, but that was a long time ago. They're in very different spots in their career right now. I would love to see that match. I don't know about you.
No, that makes a lot of sense. I don't know if I see Daniel Bryan taking the belt off of him.
I don't either.
But I definitely see that feud happening at some point.
Yeah, I think that would be a great feud. Other than that, though, you've got Kevin Owens. We've said that he's felt underutilized, but this group of guys right now, there's not really a bigger star than Kevin Owens on this. If you go Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Daniel Bryan, right? Those are the only guys on this roster that are above Kevin Owens, in my opinion. And honestly, I think he's right there with those three guys. I think he's right there with DB. They don't book him like they do the other three guys, but I think talent-wise, he's right there. I'm hoping that he can get the sort of gumption that he needs to kind of get going. You got Jey Uso. We talked about Big E, Aleister Black, Apollo Crews, Otis, Murphy, Kalisto. Oh, they split up the Lucha House Party. It's Kalisto on SmackDown. There we go. It came to a.
You're upset about that. Damn.
It came to a head. There we go. Lars Sullivan, King Corbin, and Shorty G. I guess we got to talk about Lars Sullivan.
We have to.
I mean, he's gonna be a big deal, right?
Is he though?
I could see him killing Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental Champion. Like eventually down the road.
I don't know. You think so? Intercontinental Champ.
I think everyone hates him except for Vince McMahon. That's what I think about Lars Sullivan.
There's just always a problem with giving guys like him and Braun like the Intercontinental Championship.
Yeah, I mean, eventually they have to lose it in like a weird fashion. But if Roman's gonna hold that belt forever, Lars can hold the IC forever.
Lars Sullivan.
I feel like he should shout his name like Braun shouts his name in his entrance.
I think Lars is less imposing than Braun.
Lars. No,
yeah, I don't think it works.
All right. King Corbin, one of your favorite wrestlers of all time, is still on SmackDown.
I
I
really felt
think
like he could have used the move to Raw, right?
I was about to say, but he plays his role well. You know, he knows why he's there. I would love to see it come full circle and him team up like as a heel team up with like Roman Reigns in like one of these main events one night, just for the irony of it, because they fought for like years, like it was Corbin versus Reigns, like years.
Never.
And I think to see like them teaming up would be just hysterical. I know you probably don't feel that way, but I think
Never, please. Your volume's off. Frank. Oh, hello?
we have Sasha Banks and Bailey. They're gonna go into Hell in a Cell, and we're thinking Banks comes out champion.
I don't know. Probably.
I don't know either. I really don't know either. Like I'm sitting here and I'm like leaning Sasha,
This
but
is like the weirdest feud of all time. They shot it off way too like at the wrong time.
They could stretch this out to WrestleMania, in my opinion. Like I really think they can and should stretch it out to WrestleMania.
This should be a Mania match.
You look at the rest of the women on this roster though. Bianca Belair, high hopes, right? We have high hopes, but we don't know if she's gonna do anything. But she looks like she could be great.
I like her. She's cool, but we'll see.
I like her a lot too.
We'll see if they care about her.
You have the Riot Squad, which they have proven time and time again they don't really know how to handle either of those women in solo acts. You've got Carmella. She could be. We've seen her be a good player, but after that, Natalya. I think Natalia's time in this company is like done. Okay, I don't. Every time she comes on the screen,
she's
I'm
never
like,
leaving.
Oh, like you're supposed to have respect for someone that's been doing it for a really long time. She was never my cup of tea in terms of like style of wrestling. People that like technical wrestling, she is great at technical. She's a great worker, you know, all that stuff. But it's like Big Show at this point, right? It's like the way like Big Show comes on the screen and you're like, yeah, we've done this already. Like you're either gonna be a heel or you're gonna be the big bad baby face that the bad heel beats up. Like I don't really care anymore. You know what I mean? So
I would venture to say Natalya's never leaving.
I believe. I mean, she's only like 36. Like I'm writing her off. She's only like 36 years old. Like she's not old at all. You've got Billie Kay. Is Billie Kay gonna do anything? No, I'm serious. Like, do you see Billie Kay getting even like a feud, like any type of feud?
She'll like be on an episode of Ms. TV talking about how Peyton Royce is better than her in every way or something. I don't know. Like, what are they doing?
Like, no, honestly, on Raw, like, I could see Peyton maybe getting like a push at one point in time, right? But Billie, like, yeah. I don't see it, and I feel bad because like I like her. Like, I love the Iconics when they were together. When they would come out and like, I think people think wrestling is all about wrestling sometimes, and like we would be like, oh, they can't work, blah 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 blah. No, I loved Billie Kay on a microphone. Give her a microphone and let her like make fun of people, and maybe it'll stick. I don't know. I thought it was great.
Breaking up the Iconics was so questionable. Like so questionable.
I agree. Unless they like requested it, which is questionable on their end.
I don't think they did. And like you thought, like, all right, I guess they want to give Peyton her single push because like I'm sorry, there's no way it's Billie Kay. Like she's never gonna have a women's title.
Well, they had the match and they kind of confirmed what we all thought. It was Billie Kay versus Peyton Royce, and Peyton Royce won, and they hugged and were nice about it at the end. But we kind of always thought that they liked Peyton more than they liked Billie. I don't know. It's so weird. That was a really strange decision. They had to break up the Riot Squad, who could have done the single, even though I said they don't really know how to use them as singles competitor. They could have. They were much built better as singular characters, but I guess maybe they just felt like it got old with the Iconics, which I don't feel that way. I thought that every time they came out, every time you gave the Iconics the mic, like I was laughing. It was a good time. They were great. And then to round out the SmackDown Women's roster, you have Tamina, who's just going to do Tamina things. We know exactly what Tamina things are. She's gonna be a big bully when she needs to be. When they're like, "Oh, who's the fifth member of the SmackDown Survivor Series team?" You're gonna hear that Tamina music hit.
She gets
like,
her big power spot in the Royal Rumble every year.
Yep, exactly. And then last but not least, you've got Zelina Vega, who was challenging Asuka on Raw for the women's title, and
where the hell did that come from? Out of nowhere, she's just like, "I challenge you for the like what?" I don't know.
Anyway, so I don't really have a lot of good things to say about the SmackDown Women's Division. I just don't like the way it's structured. I don't mind the people in it. I just don't love the way it's structured. They're missing Becky Lynch so bad, I think. Ever since she's been gone, I just feel like the women's division hasn't been the same. When she was there, it mattered so much. Her not being there and Charlotte also being gone. Yeah. Like, I think it's just taken a huge hit. Sasha and Bayley have been great, but it almost feels like Becky and Charlotte, I feel like, elevated the entire division. Sasha and Bayley like elevate themselves. You know, like I don't know if that makes sense. Like Charlotte and Becky are just a step above Bayley and Sasha in my opinion.
Okay.
It's like being a superstar in the NBA and a star in the NBA. You know what I mean? Like Sasha and Bayley, they're stars. Like Becky and Charlotte, they're like all-time greats. Like they're superstars.
I think the big thing is like the four of them came up and like it was the four horsewomen and everything, and they made women's wrestling matter again, and like made you care again, but you didn't really take it extremely seriously, like main event levels, until like Becky did all of her stuff, and it was like, this is the most compelling, interesting storyline on the show across anything involving Roman, Brock, Seth. It doesn't matter. Like I'm mostly invested with Becky Lynch, and that's the first time that really happened for any female wrestler.
And I think you have to, give credit also to Charlotte and Ronda Rousey, because I don't think Becky is what she is without those foils, those heels,
for sure,
helping her along the way. And they didn't really do anything with Sasha and Becky Lynch. And they didn't really do anything with Bayley and Becky Lynch, which I would have liked to see. But I don't think Becky Lynch is done. Like I think she'll be back. I think.
Oh, I hope not.
I think, yeah. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens with the women's division once the Sasha and Bayley feud is done. We don't know how long that's going to last. I think we'll have a better idea after Hell in a Cell. And we'll be able to talk about that a little bit more. All right, moving on. We're just going to talk briefly about the men's tag team division, and then we're going to wrap it up here. So, Street Profits are the champs. They want all the smoke, and they're going to get it from Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura, Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode, and Rey and Dominic Mysterio. Now, I don't like this tag team division at all. I'm just going to throw it out there. I'm just going to say, it's bad when only one team has an actual team name, and it's not just two guys' names with the end in the middle of it. Am I wrong? Like, is that wrong? Like,
it's not a great situation, no. I mean, hopefully Rey and Dominic win the tag titles.
Street Profits have been reigning as tag team champions, and like I don't see anyone here that I even want them to take them off of them. Like, I think they're the best team here by far. Like in terms of actual tag team, like obviously we know what Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura bring to a singles run, and honestly, I never liked that pairing anyway.
I thought it was weird and thrown together.
Yeah. Dolph Ziggler and Robert Roode, same thing. We know what they can bring singles run, and I think we'd like to see Robert Roode.
Are they on Raw or SmackDown?
They're on SmackDown.
All right, they're gonna win those belts.
You think they're gonna win belts?
Yeah.
It's funny, they got traded to Raw for AJ Styles, and now AJ Styles is on Raw, and Robert Roode and Dolph Ziggler are back on SmackDown. So
forgot about that.
You want some fun irony? But yeah, that's all I have to say about the SmackDown men's tag team division. So just wrapping it up quickly, we have two people. This is strange. We have two people that were in the pools. So, there was a pool on Friday night and a pool on Monday night. And so the way it worked is on the main show, they had a bunch, and then all of the rejects got drafted afterwards, like in a later, like they were tweeting them out. I don't know if there was an actual show. Maybe there was like a Talking Smack or a Raw Talk that was continuing. But anyone that didn't get drafted in the pool got drafted on after the show, except for two people. Number one, Andrade. Number two, Mickie James. Andrade wrestled Angel Garza on Raw this past Monday. We haven't seen Mickie James. Is this something? Is there a reason for this? Like,
I mean, Mickie James obviously doesn't matter to the same degree that Andrade does, but I know Andrade tweeted like "thank you," and then everyone was like freaking out. But then like Charlotte tweeted like he's thanking Zelina Vega, he's not leaving. Like you guys are wrong. Like I don't know, but this isn't no like newsworthy to me. Like we got to just see whatever they do with it.
yeah, I mean, I'm interested because if Andrade's gone, that's not a huge hit, but like he's definitely talented, and
It should be more of a hit than it will be because they don't make you care about him.
Right, I agree. All right, and then we have notable people, or I should just say all of the people not in the draft pools. We'll just go over them one by one. Becky Lynch, we know why she's not in the draft pool. If she comes back, it'll be to a surprise. Raw, SmackDown, doesn't matter. She's great. Jimmy Uso, I'm assuming he'll just be back on SmackDown when he's healthy. He's been kind of playing like a little role in this Roman J feud. Sonya Deville.
She left the company.
Did she?
Well, like not officially, but like that was the storyline.
I was thinking that maybe she was just taking some time off after the incident that happened. But if she did leave, that's a hit. I thought she was great.
No, I don't think she had. I'm saying like she had the loser leaves WWE match with Mandy.
And that's right.
So like she's gonna be back, but they wouldn't put her in the draft pool.
That makes sense. You're right. Okay, so we'll hopefully see Sonya soon, and yeah, I think it'll be interesting. They actually mentioned her name on Raw on Monday. Miz did. Dana Brooke and Mandy were on Miz TV, and they mentioned Sonya Deville. I don't think they would have mentioned her if they didn't have plans to bring her back or something like that. So we'll hopefully see her soon. I liked her. I thought she was.
That's someone who could beat Asuka also.
I agree. I think she's really, really good, and they're starting to see that. So they'll hopefully tap into that potential. Edge doesn't need a brand. This one's interesting. Jinder Mahal.
Is that interesting?
Yeah, it is interesting, Mark. Don't be like that, all right?
No, give your point. Give your 2 cents. I'll wait.
He's a former WWE champion, all right? He held for a long time. He had a decent reign as WWE champion, all right?
Because they were going to India and they wanted this Canadian guy to whatever.
Right, but you would think that he would like be drafted or like be a part. I don't know. I feel like there's still more to tell in the.
I mean, he's come back twice. They've started him with programs and he got hurt immediately. So
maybe he's still hurt then.
I'd imagine.
Maybe he'll have a big return then.
He'll get a big triumphant return at the Royal Rumble and get thrown over by Roman.
All right, we got Samoa Joe, who, speaking of injuries, Samoa Joe could tell you about every injury in the book because he's had everyone.
I don't think he's a wrestler anymore.
You think they're just satisfied to put him on commentary?
I think so.
I think eventually he's going to get back in the ring. I just don't know what his injury is. Maybe he's taking a year off to just heal because he's always hurt.
Maybe.
Or maybe he decided he was done. Mojo Rawley.
I'm surprised he's still employed.
What was the main reason Mojo Rawley was employed?
It was the Gronk stuff. Like otherwise, he would have been cut on the Black Wednesday. Never got cut, but.
And then Gronk left for the NFL anyway.
And I don't know. Maybe like Vince likes him.
And the rumors came out that Gronk was like the least like good person to work with. Like they could like everyone hated him. Like he was. They look
kind of similar. Maybe Vince thinks that Mojo is Gronk.
Okay, moving.
Saying like conspiracy theories to why he's still employed. You know.
This is another one. The Forgotten Sons. And I tell you what, that name is ringing true because until I read that name, I forgot about
Forgotten No More.
Or Forgotten Once Again, I think should be the tagline.
Yeah, I mean, they're done.
I feel bad for the other two. You feel bad for the other two too, right?
I don't care.
The one guy screwed them over so bad.
Yeah, like they actually like, kind of.
I don't know which we're referencing. Basically, one of the three members put out a very political tweet and used his wrestling gimmick, which is the Forgotten Sons tagline, "Forgotten No More," in the tweet, and it didn't go over well with a lot of the talent on the roster, and we haven't seen or heard from them since. So
no, it sucks for the two guys. You're right. That sucks.
Bo Dallas.
I didn't know he was employed still.
I mean, neither did I, but he is Bray Wyatt's brother, so that's probably why he's still employed.
That helps.
Well, it's the Big Show. Do we care?
He doesn't need a brand.
And then I think that goes for the last 4 people on this list too. That would be John Cena, Bill Goldberg, Ronda Rousey, and The Undertaker, who is supposed to be retired, but we know how that story goes with The Undertaker sometimes. So, do you believe it's over? Do you believe The Undertaker's over?
No.
I feel like he's got to do it in front of a live crowd.
He has to do a real match. But
it's got to be one last blow off at WrestleMania in front of a live crowd. Like,
hope he doesn't.
After watching that documentary, like, we both watched it. Like, he's in his own head, like, all the time. Like, he lives rent free in his head. Like, he just says to himself, like, it can't be that way.
He's a nut job. He's a nut job. What he is. He's crazy.
I got to go out with a match befitting of The Undertaker, or I got to go out on my shield. So we'll see if he winds up dying in the ring, because that's what he says he's going to do. There was one. Oh, the last thing will end. Eva Marie. Rumors going rampant.
You keep talking about her, and I'm just like, what are you talking about? You know?
There are rumors running rampant that she's on her way back. Would you like to
Franco, she will be on Raw today. I'm like, why?
She should have been. She tweeted about it. I thought she was definitely coming back.
I mean, she's not going to be on if she tweeted that she's going to be on.
I actually think she's trolling, but eventually will be back, because, like, why else would she care to tweet about it? I don't know. Do you want to see her back?
I don't mind her. I thought she was funny.
I love the heat, the nuclear heat that she got. She was getting booed harder than, like,
honestly, like the one storyline she had where she would, like, have a narrator say all those things and she'd walk out. She never actually wrestled. There was always, like, something wrong. Like, she had the wardrobe malfunction the one time, and she, like, all these things happened. I thought it was really funny.
That was excellent. I thought
it never really had a payoff either. So maybe they bring that back.
She got suspended for the wellness policy, and they said that she went on vacation and would be back in 2 months, which I thought was so great and clever. I don't know. But I guess that's going to do it for us here, right? Anything else?
And we covered everything that's going on right now.
We hopefully will be back before Hell in a Cell.
We'll do Hell in a Cell predictions, and then we'll gear up for Survivor Series.
Yeah, I think that'll actually be next week, because Hell in a Cell is a week from this coming Sunday. And then, yeah, hopefully Survivor Series. You want to see NXT and Survivor Series again, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think that was awesome.
It would be weird if they weren't after, like, the huge force they had and presence they had last year. It'd be really weird if they just didn't have them involved this year.
Who's the only WWE superstar to win a match at Survivor Series? It was Roman Reigns.
It was Roman?
It was Roman people.
Oh, yeah.
And I think before we do a prediction show, we have to do before we do like an actual, like, a match card, like, show that we, like, typically do, we have to do a predictions for, like, what the teams and the matches are going to be, because that's a nice little wrinkle to Survivor Series. So hopefully we have a lot more coming for you guys, but thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. If you really like, subscribe, the whole 9. And yeah, that's going to do it for us.
Thank you.